You know, for me, everything comes out of Yesod, you know? And the number 586, which is Yesod, fully spelt out, which is also Yerushalayim and Shofar, right. So all these things that are phallic looking, like shofar, what could be lulav, you know, what could be more phallic looking than these things, you know? Actually, when we talk about tzitzis later, because tzitzis is 600, okay? And what I'm going to show you is a hiddush on tefillin, which is my mitzvah, okay? Because the real secret, in fact, even the rabbi said the other day, the real secret of the, well, it's in the Talmud, but the real secret of the seed, of the sperm, comes from the head. Actually, I know that it comes from the head 72 days before. It's emanated from here. But the seed comes from the head and then comes down into the genital area. Okay? So this is where the seed comes from. See? From the brain. See, between the eyes. And that's why I have this hush for it, because tefillin is my mitzvah. I mean,
no doubt.
No doubt, because that's what I've done every day. You know what I mean? And right. It is Shabbos to me. Yeah. So the point is, wait till you hear this, what I came up with. The idea of tefillin is the two shins on tefillin, right? Each one is 300. We don't make a big deal about that because shin is 300. Now, last week I made it 360 and 360 to fit into what we're doing now about yayin, because two shins at 360 each, you know, the full spelling of a shin, comes out to be 720, which is yayin. Yud, and final nun. Okay? But for these purposes, I don't do the full letter. I do shin. Okay? Now shin is 300. Right? Two shins are 600. Which is, by the way, tzitzis. The gematria of tzitzis is 600. Okay? And that's why, theoretically, well, it's, theoretically it hits you in the head if you're doing... forget about it. Now, wait till you hear this, Benny. This is a hiddush. And it's so simple. Now, I always say that we can stretch. Remember that they say that the shofar is 586 plus the yad, right? You hold the yad for the vav, for the shin yud or shin vav, and you get 320, which with the 280. The 320 dinam of the hard dinam and the 280 dinam of the soft dinam, and you put them together and you get to the 600. So that 600 is that final mem for me, which is a very big deal. But wait till you hear this. The two shins, see, because I'm telling you everything is yesod, right? Okay? The two shins are 600. What are the other letters that are involved in the tefillin?
Yud.
Yud Dalet. So now the Yud in the arm and the Dalet in the back of the head. 14. Now I have 600 here, and I minus, it leaves that 600, minus the 14, the Dalet, and the Yud, and I get 586. I get 586 if it's 600 minus 14. Didn't we say 586 is yesod? Did you ever hear that? The minus?
I never heard the minus.
Right. So I'm telling you, that's where I'm.
So that's how you get to yesod from.
And that's how the tefillin comes down. Now I've told the people here, Rabbi.
You said 72 days?
It takes 72 days.
That have something to do with
72 spelling of God. Of course it does. I didn't make up the 72 days. I have a number that I would.
Also, we were just talking about 720. I think is
Oh,
interesting.
oh, nice. Nice, Benny. Didn't think of that. Yeah, no, nice. I never thought of that. I actually never thought of that. Right. And it is because it's that yud. That yud, it's a 72 times the yud, because the yud is the seed. What do you think the yud is? That's what the whole thing is of Ben Sorei Memori is all about. The letter yud. So what you're saying is it's a 72 name times 10, and that's the wine. And that's by the way, wait till you hear this. That's the two shins on the tefillin. If you spell out the two shins, it's 360 each, Benny. I may have to show you him.
720.
Sorry. He said it.
720.
Right. Now, wait till you hear this. Want to hear something beautiful? I may have told you this last week. Now, there are seven. Now, the two shins are made up of 7 vavim, right? I mean, 4 prongs on the one, 3 prongs on the other. Of 7 vavs. And how is a vav made? It's made with a yud and a line and a vav. So a vav is made out of 16. And that's the same thing that we have here of those 13 yud vavim in the daf of 70 of Noah, and that whole idea of 13 vavs. 13 vavs is the whole secret of one of the secrets of the Ben Sorei V'Moreh. Now, if you do 13 times 16, because a vav now becomes 16. Yud on top, vav, right? Yud, vav is 16. So a vav is really 16. Okay? 13 times 16 is 208, which is Yitzhak. And that's the whole, I didn't make that up. That's Gemara. But now, wait till you hear this. 7 prongs times 16. So, right? Because each one's a vav and a yud. So what's 7 times 16? 112, Benny. You know what 112 is in God's names? Yud Kei Vav Kei Elokim. So now let's add 700. So we're adding, it's obviously God's names, right? It's 112 and they have it on the tefillin. Now let's add that to 720, which are the two shins. So the two shins in full and the 700 and the 112 in full comes out to be what? 832. Do you happen to know what the gematria is of 832? Do you ever hear of Eretz Yisrael? Well, that's 832. So for somebody who believes like me, who doesn't believe in Eretz Yisrael until Mashiach comes, by me putting on tefillin, I'm in Eretz Yisrael. The head tefillin is Eretz Yisrael. It's there. They're engraved 2 shins. They're engraved 7 prongs. It's weird that they have a 4-prong shin in there. If it was 6-prong shin, this doesn't work. They put the 7th prong in because that 7th prong is the way shin will be written in Olam Haba. It's the woman's shin. It's the 4 mothers. So the 3 fathers, 4 mothers, 7 prongs. It's Eretz Yisrael, 332, 832. It also happens to be my symbol of a square of 600. And what you just said about the 72 name, if you write 72 name, 63 name, 45 name, and 52 name, that's 232. 232 plus 600 is 832. The 4 names of God plus the 600, which is the metaphor for the whole thing to begin with. Because here, the extra from the shin, right, is 60. And from this shin is 60. That's 120. 120 plus the 112 of the prongs is 232. Oh, I did this with Yiddish. These are the four names of Yud Kei Vav Kei. The dinam of the shins plus the prongs are the four names of Yud Kei Vav Kei. Plus the 600 of the shin. Now I have other things about the shins. Because the shins basically is the number 6. Shin is what in Hebrew? 6. No, that's the way you say 6. Shesh. Now if you add that shesh with 7 prongs, you get 13. 13 is the yuds and aleph in the 45 name. And that's that 13 name that I tell you corresponds also with the 10 name of the bottom of the 52 to make 23, which is the Sanhedrin that passes judgment on the Ben Shorei Bavamori. And so the 13 corresponds to 45, which is Adam. And the 13 years old is what the man is when he's a Ben Shorei Bavamori. So all this corresponds to my mitzvah. So why am I getting all this? It's because everything to me is 3 mitzvahs. Bris, Tefillin, and Shabbos. Those are the 3 surrounding lights at the what do you call it? At the Radlo. That's where everything is. Now you ever see the 3 here? Do you ever see the what do you call it? The Rosh Tivo? Or Shabbos? Right? Bris, Tefillin. Those are the 3 mitzvahs.
Shabbos. Bris, Tefillin. Shabbos.
So here, get me? Now everything I said here is mamish. I didn't make up anything here. And this is the explication of the Ben Shorei Bavamori, which they say, oh, it's a learning experience. The learning experience is simple. It all comes to sexuality. Because at 13, when the guy becomes a Ben Shorei Bavamori, is when you become for tefillin. And why on your 13th birthday do you have to put on tefillin? Because you become pubic. End of story, Benny. The whole thing is sexual. And that's why women don't study, are not supposed to study Talmud. Because it has nothing to do with women. It has to do with the seed that comes from the tefillin down into yesod. And that's as simple as that. How you handle it. How you handle your yesod is Judaism. And that's what Nazi is all about. He sees the Sotah in her disgrace. How he handles his sexuality. And so they put a fence on that by the grapes. They put a fence on it with this. And that you can't walk in a dead man's room. You know why you can't walk in a dead man's room? That's what people say. Oh, like people say, I say, oh, like it leads to your sexuality. Even though they don't tell you, don't cut your hair, don't eat grapes, don't go into a room. The real thing about not going into a dead man's room is because in French, I think I've told you this, there's a saying called petite mort. Petite mort in French is slang for orgasm. See? It's a death of the body. If you have an orgasm, you feel like dead. Also, orgasm, you see, when you are in a room of death, that dead was eventually created life. That life was created by orgasm. They're telling you, don't enter the world of life and death. See, if I enter death, that means I had intercourse in life, because that's how a child was born. If I don't have intercourse in life, I'm never involved in death. So it's all sexual. Judaism is all sexual. This is the beauty of it. The beauty of it. It's how to handle that and how to bring it back up into the brain And quite frankly, after you bring it up into the brain, you'll have a video like I just did right here. So we're going to close it. 15 minutes.